Hey, what's up, Thomas?
Not much. Getting ready to open up the grab bag, right?
We are gonna pull out some wonderful treasures that we've found this week, and some maybe a little ranty, maybe not. Cover the news, cover our picks. You definitely got the comic book side of the house sewed up, and I'm gonna change it up a little bit for my grab bag and play for my strengths because I've got a backlog of comic books that I want to jump on, but in any case, with that being said, I'm Mike,
I'm Thomas.
and this is the first last Nerdom, and this is our grab bag.
Mhm.
Every Wednesday we come to you and we have a little this, little that, maybe a little bit
Mhm.
more opinion as we're getting into this thing. So kind of kicking it off.
Mhm.
What do you want to lead off with this week?
I guess we've got some comic book news that we can go over. I sent you a few different articles that
You
we
did.
might like to dig a little deeper on, and we've introduced last week. We introduced our soapbox, so we feel the need to jump up on there and
We'll do it.
spout out some stuff. We'll pull it out.
Yeah, this is just
Don't you
random,
worry.
and I can just pull up whatever news one you want to lead out
Mhm.
with. But we got this one, Christopher Cantwell, in this one. Do you want to do this
Yeah,
one first, or
he's a former. Well, I guess he's probably still is a TV writer who has started dabbling in comic books, and he did a very successful and I guess ongoing Iron Man series, and he also did a limited Doctor Doom series that was really good, and so they're going to have him write the Submariner uh, upcoming. So
okay, very
from the
cool.
strength of his writing so far, I would definitely anticipate this being a pretty good series. And I've always sort of liked the Submariner. He's always been kind of a interesting character, and I don't know if anyone's really got a good handle on the character so far. So it'll be interesting to see what Cantwell does the Submariner.
That's cool. Yeah, that'll be one to follow. Like, I'll probably follow it loosely. I'm not the biggest Aquaman or Namor fan in general. Of course, the Submariner, but I agree with you. I think well, I don't know. The Submariner I think is handled a little bit differently than
Yeah,
uh,
he was introduced
Aquaman.
as a villain, and so he's always looking out for the best interests of his people, which doesn't always include humans. So
Right. Yeah, there's definitely a
there's
divide there.
yeah.
Cool, cool.
Yeah, it's a little bit more of a yeah, he has more maybe layers to him than say Aquaman does.
Right, right. Okay, so this is coming out not too long. That's cool.
Yeah, I think
Awesome.
later in the year. Yeah.
Yeah, this is one to follow. Moving over to do you want to cover this one, Daredevil?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, there's an interesting. I think they're paralleling Daredevil with the new Punisher series.
Huh.
Punisher, if you've been reading that, he's at the head of the Hand organization in the in that world, and then the in this issue of the new series of Daredevil, it looks like he's being set up for the lead of the Fist. So
Right, right.
I can see a war between the Fist and the Hand coming up eventually, and I guess uh, pitting the Punisher against Daredevil, which would be pretty interesting. Kind of like that. There's two different strong writers on that. Jason Aaron's writing Punisher, and Chip Zdarsky's writing Daredevil currently. And Chip is also writing is the new writer on Batman, so he's got a full plate on him, and he's doing a good job on Daredevil and um, Batman. And yeah, this first issue of the new Daredevil series starts off really strong. It's a really good read if you haven't. It came out last week, so if you haven't picked it up, you might want to pick it up. I know from the comic book shop, they said that it was selling really well. They were having trouble keeping it on the shelves.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, this is another one to go.
Yeah, and in
go to.
fact, that and the newest issue of Punisher came out last week, and by the time I got to the comic book shop, they had sold out of Punisher, so I had to get
Okay.
a digital version of that on.
Grief. Sorry. Kiddo was asking me a question. Sorry.
That's fine.
Yeah, no, that's what I've heard. I need to catch up on the Punisher because I am behind on that one. That's one of the ones that I wanted to get to because you recommended by you as well as other comic book folks that I follow on YouTube anyway. It's
Mhm.
painted as a good one. And
Yeah,
I
no, art both of them are really good,
oh
especially
yeah.
in Punisher.
Oh yeah. Well, you can. It's also natural for those two to kind of cross paths. Like at some point, that
Mhm.
will be really cool. Of course, like
Mhm.
more of like a more modern, current storyline take, like when they clash or not or whatever. It's cool. Yeah, and I didn't have too many new ones. And I guess I can save mine for my soapbox. I don't really have a soapbox. Well, we'll see. But moving over into this one. So what's up with David Bowie? Always enjoy always enjoy his music. Good grief.
Yeah, they have an annual event for Marvel with the X-Men, the Hellfire Gala. Last year, it was a whole month's worth of comic books with the various X teams, and then this year they did it as I think it's 60 pages special, just called X-Men Hellfire Gala. Basically, it's a fashion show that the X-Men put on once a year, where at the end of it they announce the new roster for the X-Men, and they invite the who's who in Marvel superheroes, along with this issue. John Hamm showed up, and uh, Brian Posehn, the comedian who's also a big comic book fan. He's showed up in both issues, or he showed
Okay.
up last year, and he's in this issue. But yeah, at one point, Spider-Man's talking to Doctor Doom, and the big secret that mutants are able to bring back from the dead various mutants, and so um, Spider-Man's asking Doctor Doom which famous mutants will they bring back next? Will they bring back Jimi Hendrix or David Bowie? That begs the question. In this universe, is David Bowie a mutant? Oh, just a little silly thing to talk about, but
Oh, that's
yeah.
cool. Little Easter egg kind of thing. That's cool.
Mhm.
Was the
Yeah,
Hellfire Gala, was it good artwork or just a kind of a fun little on the side thing?
yeah. There's there's some various. It was sort of an issue where it touched base with the various X-Men books, sort of like I guess where everybody could get back on the same page. And again, they announced a new lineup for the X-Men, which I think the two returning members of Cyclops and Jean Grey, and then I think their Magic is going to be a new member, along with Iceman
Huh.
and Firestar, I think is their name. And then there's a couple more. Sync is coming back too. I forgot about
Okay.
that. But
Cool.
yeah, I think there's one or two more members. I forget. That's how important, I guess, the team is to me. But yeah, it's an okay issue. The Mora, who used to be a good on the good side, but she's on the outs and is the big villain
Hmm.
in this issue. So she sneaks in to the Hellfire Gala under the skin of Mary Jane Watson.
Interesting. All right. Yeah, she's always kind of slipped between hero, anti-hero, or temporary ally
Mhm.
to get her needs or wants met for her part of the plot, and then she drops off and then does her own thing or whatever, more often than not.
Mhm.
Very cool. Cool. Yeah. Going on to good grief, that's tiny. Holy crap. New Chris Claremont X-Men comic for this coming fall, huh?
Yeah, next week he's got a limited series coming out with the issue number 1 of Gambit,
Mhm.
which a lot of people, that's their favorite
X-Men.
X-Men is
Mhm.
Gambit, but I never really cared much for Gambit,
It's
but
okay.
since Chris Claremont's gonna be writing it, that should be fun to read. And he kind of hints in this podcast that there may be an X book that he'll be writing later on in November. So that could be interesting. Yeah, the I think from what I can even gather is they're bringing Marvel is bringing back a lot of the older writers
Okay.
and giving them some limited series to write, and I
Right.
guess to see if they could still sell and if their writing chops are still good. So then they have them get on a more permanent basis, sort of like I guess what they did with Peter David. They brought him back to write some various Spider-Man and Hulk limited series. Now he's
Right.
been writing the future issues of Hulk, Maestro. So they'll probably try to get Chris Claremont in on a regular X-Men book, which would be a good thing. He's one of my favorite comic book writers, so it'd be great to see him back writing comic books regularly.
Yeah, even if it's just for a short bit, for sure. Yeah, and we've kind of covered that here or there when since we started the grab bag and started to, well, actually we've covered comic books for our main show and then we split it off. But yeah, we've come across a couple of those and they're very good. Hopefully they stick around and the storylines are good and they do justice to this, because there's a little bit of a sagging tire or starting to be a sagging tire, which I guess could lead me on to the soapbox, unless you want to pop yours out first.
Oh, I guess I just have a little soapbox, just kind of tied with this. It's sort of like I think they try to inject new blood into comic books, say probably a few years back, and I think they found out, which I guess a lot of the streaming services are finding out, that if you just inject new blood without maybe focusing on other things outside of talent, that a lot of it doesn't stick very well, and that the writers or watchers and readers won't stick with it if there's not really good stories to tell. So I think a lot of what Marvel's doing as far as their comic books, they're realigning and getting more story focused and writer focused, telling good stories. And I think that's probably where like say the streaming services are starting to so maybe look more in that direction as well. But yeah, that was my mini soapbox.
Yeah, and then that's kind of just like, and I don't have a big one like I had last week, but I do have a minor one, and it's kind of tied into like new media versus old media kind of thing.
Mhm.
And Rippaverse, we caught on the tail end of it, like right as it was about to blow up last week, and
Yeah.
it did in fact blow up, and
Mhm.
I think it's see something over 2.5 million, something like that. Probably go
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, on target to go to 3 million, and
Right.
his projected one was 100,000, which I would have thought for a new comic book series, that was probably a generous goal to reach, and
Right.
he just
Right.
probably blew that out of the water. And yeah, I'm sure I haven't watched too many interviews with him recently, but I'm pretty sure that he's quite overwhelmed with the success of it.
Yeah, this is great. I kind of caught it definitely, this event kind of moved through some of my more, I guess, pop culture nerddom, different YouTubers that I like to watch, and I think you like to watch a little bit of them here too. here or there, but yeah,
Mhm.
they pretty much cover that whole ring of folks. And there's I only like a couple of those, like Nerdrotic. I follow him, and a few others, and I follow, of course, we both follow him. And I think it's Rippa 59. Another part of that, but anyway, I'll put his YouTube channel in the thing. But yeah, this is just cool to see this happen. I don't know if maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, or whatever. I will throw a few shekels over and order this at some point, and see like where this goes. Of course, you would probably be the one that I would want to hear the opinion from, to be honest with you, like because I don't know a good comic book from a bad one, to be honest. At least, like, I mean, I have my taste, obviously, but what I
Right.
like is definitely not the purview of
Mhm.
what most view. But this
Yeah,
is
no,
go ahead.
I liked his route to doing this, and I think a lot of his detractors are attacking him for it. But the I like that he didn't want to set up like something through Indiegogo or Kickstarter, that he didn't see a point in letting them have some money,
Right.
in the sense that they're not really doing anything. They're just providing the structure to sell through. And so he spent I forget, like a couple of years getting all this back end stuff set up, so that he could have his own website and sell through his own. And
Right.
the I think one of the selling points from Indiegogo and Kickstarter is that, it's all already set up, and that if you make people go to a different website, then you might not get the traffic that you would through a Kickstarter or Indiegogo. But he's showing that it's actually works quite well. That I think he's done a really good job as far as getting out to the different podcasts and news
Hmm.
outlets to make sure his story is out there, and that people are aware of it. And I think that's a lot of success for it. But the the thing that I guess the latest thing I've heard is that since its own website, how do we know that it really truly made that much money? Which
Right.
I think is just kind of it's just stupid,
It
you know.
there's so many stupid takes or stupid hot takes on this, and people trying to tie it into culture wars, and it really has nothing to do with that. Has not a
Mhm.
damn thing to do with any of that stuff. It's not about, oh, this is just cancel culture or woke, or no, it has nothing to do with any of that. It's just a guy who wanted to follow his dream. He put a lot of work in, and it's awesome to see this, and I hope this is good quality. I'm it'll be whatever it is, but
Right.
it's just nice to see that. I think people are really hungry for, and I've seen a number of his things just by exposure, just because of this happening. He's just popping up a lot more on my YouTube, on the algorithm
Mhm.
side, on my personal YouTube. But there's a good point there, like where we are in the age of like where it happened. The internet has been a tremendous force to break up things and fragment things, but it's not just fragmenting. There's also a loose network there too, usually behind it. We see that more and more, from rejection of like boomer media. I guess like things that like we grew up under that, gather around the TV on this weeknight or whatever. But as these streaming services are broken up more, there's going to be these little pockets of
Mhm.
folks that they just want cool content, and like there's all kinds of
Mhm.
newer ones that
Yeah.
are out there. But anyway, that was my main point or rant, I guess, per se, is on the Disney Marvel side, it kind of feels like things are slowing down there, like the air is kind of slowly being let out of the tire a little bit, and it's just not getting as much traction as it used to.
Mhm.
And I think that's just because like there's a saturation point, and I think we hit it a long time ago for a lot of these things. And it's just like people are just tired. They just want to that's why the newer movies that just came out, like Top Gun, or Top Gun, Maverick was the Top Gun 2 essentially, or a modern day thing. You would think that it has all the hallmarks of something that would suck, like, oh great, no, oh,
Mhm.
like the world needs another 80s movie thing from a
Mhm.
questionably not even a huge IP standpoint, but they did it well. They just it was just it didn't try to be anything that it was. It didn't try to be this
Mhm.
big glowing monstrosity, sprawling
Mhm.
empire or something, like of just like books and movies and TV shows and small screen and big screen and stream. Like it's just like I
Yeah,
think I,
if you tell a good story and make a good movie, then people are going to go to it.
right.
Word of mouth is still very much a thing, and
Mhm.
one of the things I noticed at top, the Top Gun Maverick isn't one of those movies that jumped out at me, but
Right.
everybody that's seen it absolutely loved it, and then the younger group that watch that reviews movies. They do a podcast, the Sardonic Cast, and
Mhm.
all of them are um, late 20s and below as far as age wise. And I wouldn't imagine this would be a movie that would appeal to them, since they don't have the the older movie as a full as well. But they went ahead and watched both the old one and the new one, and talked about how the original movie really was probably more hype than what it was, and
Right.
that the new movie actually is a genuinely good movie, and that
Right.
they all really enjoyed it,
That's cool.
some
Cool.
more than others. But yeah, so it's got a broad cross generational appeal to it
It
that
does.
appeals to you get the nostalgia people that love Top Gun and that enjoyed it, and then you have people that have no frame of reference are still enjoy the movie, and that also speaks volumes to Tom Cruise and his appeal. You know,
Right.
crazy religion aside, doesn't seem like that has a influence on people as far
Yeah.
as
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, it's just it's you what a good all around solid movie used to be, which was it appeals to all audiences, or to more audiences than not, and
yeah.
not just like a niche kind of group or kind of targeting like a newer group, or whatever. Like
Mhm.
which is insane to me because it's just like, well, and then it kind of goes back like you can aim all you want at a certain kind of generation or demographic. They don't care. They're not gonna show up and like become like lifelong fans. It's not how it works. And that's why
Mhm.
that's kind of goes back to like my rant last week of like you're alienating the true blue fans, and you're doing it to the detriment of the entire thing, to where it won't catch fire eventually in the next generation
Mhm.
or whatever, or you're severely
Right.
putting that at risk. Like whereas something
Yeah.
like this, maybe it has legs. Maybe 10 years from now it'll be who knows, but
Yep.
um there is
Mhm.
just this yearning and this need
Mhm.
for original
Yeah.
content. And
Yeah, and you kind of have to ask yourself, why did you buy Marvel? Why did you buy Star Wars? Is it's because that those franchises have a history to them, and they have a built-in fan base. Whereas
right.
if you're creating stories that disregard or go against those core fans, why did you get that property to begin with?
Right.
If you're just gonna throw it out and say, okay, this isn't for you, this is for a new audience, an audience that might not be there, like you said,
Right.
that you're making your job harder on yourself, by saddling yourself with a property that evidently you really didn't want to begin with, and are in fact going for an audience that's not proven to be there.
Right.
Whereas if you appeal to your core fan base, they're going to bring in that newer audience is going to find it as well, if you
Exactly.
tell a good story.
Right. Right. Yeah. And this is just kind of I am not going to get into the culture war because a lot of it is just noise and horse shit,
Yeah.
to be honest with you.
Mhm.
But aside from that, there's this thing of like where people just want good stories. Like that's like you say, you just want a good story. But Not much more to hammer home about this, and just a shout out. And like this was like amazing. And conversely, I think we covered last week or the week before, we covered the lightsaber not making it, and essentially like dying and of just not, it didn't get funded, it didn't get made, I guess.
Yeah, no,
And
it's not getting made.
yeah, and you know, like you just can only do that so much with new fans. And I got news for you. The loudest people that are shouting at you are probably not the folks that you want to listen to. And that goes for whatever is going on. You know, because and there is sometimes like where it's an overreach to like try to make like a commentary. Like I don't get and this is a good criticism on some of the folks that I follow. And we've kind of touched base on this, but like, you know, wanting to hate something is like one thing. But if something is just not there, the quality is not there, it's gonna not be there regardless of whatever. Like for example, I don't understand like the I like look, I'll get on a soapbox and I will run upside and down the other for why Star Trek Discovery is garbage, or and why Picard is like no thanks. But that's not true for Strange New Worlds, you know. I don't want to be so jaded. They're like where I miss it, you know, like yeah, they screwed up. They torched the boat for sure. Almost to the point of me not even wanting to go into Strange New Worlds, but I'm glad that I stopped and I didn't and I listened because it's awesome, you know, like you're just missing out, you know. And then just like I just want to see something that's cool, you know, like just like don't twist it around and make it into something that it's not, you know, like you know, to like where you don't even know what the hell you're walking into, like what with Discovery. But just that's a
I
good
don't
example.
want and I don't want our channel to be fall into that trap of having to hate certain things just to get views or whatnot. Yeah. It's I'm always there to rally around a good cause or underdog doing well,
Sure.
like with the Rippaverse. It's always great to hear that that and kind of champion that, because you know, for you know, we're all benefit if it's a good story. And you know, it's and he's creating his own property and characters, and whether or not they succeed or not, that's totally dependent on the story and the characters. And you know, and that's one of the things that we keep talking about as good stories, good characters. So you know, as long as you're not, you know, taking an old character and making them into something that they're not, that you're telling new stories with your own ideas, that's always something good to have.
Absolutely. Yeah. Not much more to say, but yeah, I didn't really have a big thing. But yeah, I just wanted to I'm glad we cover this. And you know, like it'll be fun to kind of check in on this and see how far it goes, you know. And eventually some of my shekels would be part of this, and I'll order it and see what happens and go from there. And then hopefully it's just another great comic book to pick up, you know, and another creator to pick up for sure. But anyway, and with that being said, I think we're ready to jump into our main grab bag here.
Yeah.
Do you want to lead out with good grief, holy crap. It should be stuck here. Okay, yeah, there we go. Do you want to lead out with this one or the other one?
Yeah, that's fine. Judgment Day, big.
What's this?
It's Avengers, X-Men, and Eternals, big mashup. So the Eternals in the comic book world, they had just Thanos had tried to take over the Eternals, and they just had done war with Thanos and cast him out. So and the unlikely Eternal, I think you pronounce his name Droog, but he's taken over, and he's one of the lesser heroic characters. He's more of a Gollum type guy. He's out for his own benefit, and he's looking for a new villain that the Eternals can go after. and basically he's kind of twisted the mission statement for the Eternals. The Eternals are they want to strike the balance where if the deviants, which are their bad guys, if the deviants become excessive,
Mhm.
then the Eternals step in and kind of beat them down. And he's kind of twisted the definition for deviants, thinking, well, mutants are kind of deviants from
Huh.
humans. So those are actually deviant, and they've kind of become excessive in that they've they terraformed Mars and have taken over the planet Mars. So that's
Oh.
getting a little excessive with the mutants. So they decide the Eternals go to war with the X-Men, and the Avengers kind of step in as a mediator, so to speak.
Hmm.
So this issue comes out this week, and it's the first. They had a kind of a prologue to it last week, but yeah, this is the official first issue of the big mashup, and it's got the Kieron Gillen as the writer, and he's pretty decent writer, so it should be at least a kind of a fun story to read. And but yeah, every year Marvel has a big summer event, and this looks to be the kind of starting a little late, but yeah, this is the big summer event.
Cool. Yeah, the storyline sounds intriguing for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Cool. Cool.
Yeah, and that writer's been writing the Eternals, and that's sort of one of those quiet books that have a lot of big things happening with it. And so he just wrapped up his, I think, 12 issue run on the Eternals, and this is leading into um, the big this big event, this Judgment Day event. And then that same writer is also has started writing Immortal X-Men, which is really good too.
Very cool. 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 Awesome. Dope. Yeah. I usually could jump to mine real quick. Mine is going to be more is sci-fi heavy this week. And actually,
Uh-huh.
this is one of the this is a really long series, but it's by Craig Alanson, and it just came out not too well last month, in June, and I had missed it, and I just recently finished it, and it's pretty. This is the continuation of a longer storyline. The Columbus Day series is what they start with, but there's a lot of books in there, and then they kind of diverge into a thing. But I was happy to see this. These are all monstrosities, and some of them get a little thin in parts. But I would recommend this overall series, like to start with. I don't know that you're gonna ride the lightning all the way down to 14 books, but I just happened to be right place, right time to catch this, like when it started, and I've been madly addicted to it. And it essentially the premise is there's this elder AI beer can or cylinder, and basically humanity gets attacked on Columbus Day, and through some things, see this our main character, he's like an average Joe type character in the army. He lands on this other planet. He gets imprisoned. Things aren't what they seem. But in any case, he runs into this thing called, this main character of it becomes this one called Skippy, and it's just like this really deadpan back and forth between the character. Like once they kind of meet and they set that up, and it just kind of goes from there. It's just ridiculous. Like it is the most bonkers, zany, popcorn sci-fi that you could probably ever get. And it's probably one of the better ones because just like everything else, Audible, Amazon, who owns them, has like they're a juggernaut in and of themselves. So if you want to, unfortunately, there's kind of a chokehold that I don't quite like, where there's just like this nothing but, I wouldn't call it fan fiction type, but it's definitely original sci-fi, but it's kind of like endless tropes on a theme. But this is the one one of the better ones that stands out from that perspective. But not much to say, but I recommend the series overall. But this is the latest book that came out, audiobook.
Yeah,
and
and
I'm
with
not
14 books, they'll keep you busy.
Oh yeah. And like I said, I don't say this, but you can not much changes throughout the books, like, but I guess the series is Expeditionary Force, but really kicks off with Columbus Day, book one, Craig Alanson, and that came out in 2016, so not that long ago. So it's a pretty new series, but like it kind of like divides off into other things. But I would just say that this is very good first book. As the latest one, as it were. But anyway, not much to say. But that I finished that one, and it's just one that I enjoy. Like I said, popcorn sci-fi. It's don't take it too seriously, But it's not too bad. But it's very entertaining. And it probably gets grading after a while. But I'm a super fan, and I've followed with this the whole way through. But kind of going back to your pick this week, you had the Avengers up here. Cool.
Yeah,
Jason Aaron.
Jason Aaron. Yeah, he's writing also the Punisher. So he could kind of he's able to go from your street level kind of the hero like Punisher, and then also tell these big cosmic stories like the Avengers get kind of wrapped up into. And there's people that prefer his more street level hero stories better than the big cosmics, and that his big cosmic storylines can get a bit convoluted, and the overall picture maybe gets a little fuzzy around the edges. But I'm really enjoying his current run on the Avengers, in that it's another one of those big multiverse things where there's a group of dimension and multiverse sort of villains that are going through and killing all the prime Avengers for whatever world that's on. So the Avengers are sort of having to pull upon the various multiverses and get the group of various Captain Americas. And the last issue they had the sort of containment center that had a bunch of various Steve Rogers in there, one being a dog. Steve Rogers. So it's sort of a fun series if you're kind of interested in various different versions of the Avengers. This is kind of a fun series that not too serious, but yeah, it's kind of a fun read, and
good artwork
it's
too.
And it's very creative as far as coming up with the various versions of the superheroes. I think it's a little bit more imaginative than say that What If series with Miles Morales. What if he's Wolverine? What if he's Thor?
I read one of them for sure, and I just wasn't impressed, and like it was just like it was, but that's kind of how quality is what it is. But that's cool, like, because I kind of been missing good What If,
and there's like one of the villains is sort of like a different take on, say, the Green Goblin. He collects the skulls of the various Johnny Blazes, the Ghost Riders. So he has the bag of Johnny Blaze's skulls he uses as weapons. So it's a sort of a kind of a mix, and he likes to mix and match various villains and their powers, and it makes it for a interesting read.
Very cool. Awesome. Yeah. Well, for mine, I have another audiobook, sci-fi. This one actually came out last year. And Andy Weir was the famous author who did The Martian, which later on became adopted into the movie that we saw. Or used, I'm sure.
Damon.
Exactly. We're once again we have to spend billions, if not trillions, of dollars rescuing this mother. I think I saw Business Insider article about like how much in all these fictional movies, like how much it's cost us to go get Matt Damon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
but
think I
anyway,
saw in his newest movie he's actually trying to save his kid or something. So I guess he's finally transitioning over into the dad role.
yeah, and the Weir Artemis, this one, oh, gosh, but anyway, this one, this was good, and the premise is basically us going through and encountering another species, and how we get there. It kind of has a very unique take on it, from a perspective you don't normally expect, related to it all, but it was very good. This is one I had actually finished up a while ago, but just for the sake of being consistent this week for sci-fi books, this one, I would say, The Martian is rare. It's one of those rare sci-fi books that has deep and wide appeal, to not just your nerds, your sci-fi hardcore sci-fi nerds like myself, but also grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, whatever, the whole family. It doesn't.
I think when the movie came out, a lot of people went back and read the book too.
Yep, and then it kind of got a second bounce, for sure. I don't know if this is going to go anywhere. That this one is good. It's still good. It's just not quite, maybe not quite to that level. But of course, there's a famous thing, like where there's fame, right, in one particular genre or niche, or even sub niche, and then there's this whole other level of fame, where you just have that mass appeal, and Andy Weir is one of the rare ones to have that once. Probably not going to come again, but damn good author. You pick up just about probably any one of his books. I have read Artemis as well, and it's also good. But this kind of goes back to that, like where we're talking about Rippaverse, and how as time goes on, more you have more of these smaller fiefdoms of like fandoms. Like Craig Alanson has a big following on Facebook and other social media circles, and I'm testament. I'm one of those fans that have just kind of followed along over time. Kind of scroll through. Oh, is this book out yet? Okay, cool. Whatever. Or like, oh crap, I got to catch up, which is always fun.
And there's it's fascinating, the various little universes of fans and whatnot. YouTube's a fun place to dig around in and find all sorts of little groups. Like there's a group of comedians that have kind of created a sort of a little industry just making fun of the Howard Stern personality, Stuttering John. I don't know if you're familiar with Stuttering John. He's he has his own podcast. I think does a little bit better than ours, but there's comedians that love to dissect his podcast and just make fun of him. So then it was just kind of interesting. I just stumbled upon this community. That's I've kind of found that whole little genre interesting, but yeah, that's certainly just to expand upon your idea of all these various communities that form out of
and the internet has it's done this all really kind of goes back to the backbone, and I'll wax poetic here for a minute, but not even a soapbox, just like an observation of like, as time has gone on, we've seen like where it's not just megacorp, to make an app or something or whatever. We've seen that the same tools and platforms that big companies use are ones that are very easily accessible to your average person. And in a weekend of coding or two, if you know what you're doing, it doesn't take much to have your own infrastructure and your own presence. And of course, I mean that literally and figuratively, as far as like that. Pretty soon you get a following, and then you come into contact with, like, I hope there's a million Rippaverses over the coming thing, to like where it's just a constellation of just really great content creators that own their own IP. Because and this is kind of like some of the things I like to follow, because you'll catch. I'm not a super big fan of like all the like everybody's doing this live phenomenon on YouTube. At first, I kind of had issues with it, but like over time, if you just set it to the background, you're not. Of course, I'm not going to sit there and watch 5 hours of whatever, but it is kind of fun. Occasionally, you'll run across a really awesome conversation, about creators and whatnot, and I had a bigger point there, but it's just kind of taking it back to old school, like where Stan Lee was talking to so and so, and they're like, "Hey, how about a fly man? How about that?" And it's like, no. How about that one sucks? How about Spider-Man? Eureka or whatever, I'm horrible.
Excelsior, yeah.
Yeah, Excelsior. I was just doing the cheap generic knockoff version, but anyway.
Yeah.
Point
and
being,
Stan Lee was never opposed to putting himself into various comic books. I've been reading or trying to get through the first 100 issues of Daredevil, and one of the ones I just read, much in the faction of the Batman TV series. Devil at one point stumbles upon an apartment window that's open, and happened to be Stan Lee, and him saying, "Oh, the artist for this isn't going to believe that you stumbled upon my window."
yeah,
But yeah.
that flirts with that breaking the fourth wall, and of course Deadpool does
Mhm.
it so well. It's playful when it's done right,
Mhm.
and very endearing,
Mhm.
especially with super fans. But yeah, this one, and kind of go back to your pick here. I've always seen this guy, or I've seen reports of him, but I always forget about what channel he is or whatever. So what's your YouTube pick for this week?
The report of the week, which he's also known as Review Bra, and and basically his whole career is reviewing fast food, and he usually does in a suit and tie with his hair nicely coiffed back, and he can't be more than in his early 30s, if not his late 20s. But yeah,
Young kid,
he's
yeah,
one of
yeah.
those that I would, the correct term would probably be an old soul. He's got a very old timey kind of vibe to him. In fact, he does a
Apropos.
radio show on the radio as well.
Hmm,
He tells you where to dial in to pick up his radio show, where he just plays music and just talks and stuff.
very
But yeah,
cool.
he's yeah, just looking at him, you wouldn't imagine that he'd be a fast food connoisseur, but he very much is. And I thought this kind of fell in line with our nerd aesthetic. What nerd doesn't enjoy their fair share of fast food? And he gets very nerdy and very analytical in his discussions of food, and whenever he gives a bad review, he often gets very apologetic and says, well, maybe it was just served bad to me that day, but I can only review what's in front of me. And this past week, he I guess they reintroduced the cantina chicken tacos, and the the sorry piece of chicken that he got, and you can kind of see it in the thumbnail there. It's almost the size of a nugget in
Good
that
grief.
taco, and he I think he gave it a 1 out of 10. That's one
Okay.
of his rare ones where he just had nothing nice to say about it. And I guess it's they had those tacos a couple years ago, and when they originally were put out, he gave a favorable review, and
Hmm,
that's one of the reasons he says that whenever they reintroduce a item, he'll try it again, just because their preparation may have changed. And boy, did it ever change this time. He like I said, he's one of the rare ones where he had absolutely nothing nice to say about that. But yeah, if you like fast food and you're always kind of curious about the latest and greatest gimmick that the fast food people are introducing, he's usually on the ball, and has got a review of the new things. So
that's awesome. Yeah.
yeah.
No, I've definitely come across him, from I think from probably Facebook or Twitter back when I was on Twitter. like, or even read it. I can't remember where I saw it, but like I've seen a couple of his, like, because it's just his visual is Old Soul is the perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
It's just like, what the heck? What am I like? What's this gimmick here? You know, because it's just different. You know, it's like, very interesting. You know, like, or
Yeah.
whatever. You know,
Yeah,
he's
and
got a banner.
yeah, he's got a very kind of a sweet demeanor, and he and another thing that adds to the Old Soul is that he often likes to do sure your average dad jokes as well. So
Yeah, he does. He does.
so he's like I say, he just seems to be a extremely nice person that you can't help but smile whenever he gives a review.
Awesome. Yeah, good pick. Good pick. And he does have a shout out to his shortwave radio enthusiast, and these are his
Yep.
where you
Yep.
can pick them up, and his schedule, his show schedule, and whatnot. I think
Mhm.
how you could also probably listen to it if you don't have the equipment on the internet. I would assume
Yeah,
that's
I
what
think
that
you
is.
can.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think he also streams it as well. So I think
Okay, that's cool.
I think one night whenever I was working and wanted something in the background, I
Mhm.
put it on, and he's he's his music taste kind of was surprising as well. I thought maybe it would be more aligned with some older classics on a
Mhm.
on a record, you know, maybe kind of an old timey stuff. But
Sure.
his it's still old, but he get more of the 90s rock sort of vibe. He'll put on some Pearl Jam and
Cool.
some various stuff in that vein.
Classic stuff.
Yeah.
Or classic now.
Yeah,
Very cool.
exactly.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah. For mine this week, I've got a very controversial figure, but who turned something so negative and life altering that he made it into he took he took sour lemons and turned it into lemonade, and he's
Yeah.
been pretty successful about it with it. But he got in trouble in Scotland. Of course, in Scotland, different nations, different countries have different rules. Some more about free speech, some less.
Yeah.
Apparently, in Scotland, there's a law that got the thing that kind of kicked his thing off. Was he trained his dog to do, his girlfriend's dog to do a certain kind of joke, and his whole thing was to kind of set this elaborate joke up with his thing, and he got in trouble with it because somebody
Yeah.
found it, and then it blew up, and then but it blew up in a bad way, and then basically he got charged with hate speech essentially, or something along those lines, where it was clearly a joke. But I I kind of fell into him from that side, and he would do like this different streams, and then he finally found his niche, where he does this thing called Mad Lads, and then he just goes through and he'll talk about different true stories of just different individuals who are, just they do something exceptional, not always in a good way, or they just kind of stick out like a sore thumb. And he's just got a very funny personality. And why this came up is he has his final his kind of like settling out, like there's no more this, no more that. And he had these recap videos over time, which I got addicted to too. But it's just kind of he's very colorful. Definitely. He's not edgelord. I would not describe him as edgelord. But I think early on it was a little bit more of his thing, but it's
Yeah.
evolved to be like more original content. It's just fun. It's just fun. Like I've some of these folks that he's highlighted over his, because I'm a history nerd anyway, so it slides right into that for me. But it's just kind of very cool.
Yeah.
And he's got a very good way of NPRing his way into suckering you into watching like a longer documentary or something like that, something along those lines. But usually they're more shorter, like 20 to 30 minutes. But the one that he did not too long ago was the Great Nordic Biker War, and like he'll just cover these things of like little lesser known, just fascinating kind of history tidbits. But anyway, he's like almost up to 1 million. But I've seen him grow from like very low numbers to where he is today, and it's been
Yeah.
very entertaining.
Yeah. I think think he was demonetized for a good while there.
Oh
which
yeah.
I think he's finally monetized. But yeah, YouTube had him on the bad list for a while there. And then one of I haven't watched too much of his videos, but one of them that I got a kick out of, I guess he's also on Twitter, and I think Seth Rogen reached out to him at one point in DMs, and it just kind of shows you how unfunny Steve Rogen or Seth. I'm sorry, it's not Steve Rogen, but Seth Rogen. Just kind of shows you how fun and funny Seth Rogen has gotten, and how funny this guy is.
Yeah. I don't know what's. I was, and I still am, a big Seth Rogen fan, but it really. Some of his escapades is like, come on, dude, like, like,
Yeah.
come on, like, where's your funny bone? Like, okay, I guess we're in serious lane or something like that, whatever. Of course, Jonah, and that's probably, in their defense, they probably didn't want to be pegged as like just always a comedian thing. I think they got a little bit of that going on, but like he's had some stinkers.
Yeah.
Too, and I remember following along with that too. It's just very interesting from one to another. It's just like, boy, you talk about asking questions about like, is this hate really warranted, or is this scorn really warranted? And it's probably like, nope. But you get into that I don't know, just that weird political ideology tornado nowadays that you just whatever. But anyway, I just wanted to shout out his thing because I always get a kick out of his Mad Lads. They're not all like tip top awesome, but some are way more interesting than others. And like I said, like he just has a very good NPR type way of kind of telling a story that it works. But not much to say other than that. But with that being said, I think we're coming up to the tippy top of the end of our grab bag this week.
Yeah, I think so. Yep, there
Awesome.
wasn't a whole lot more. Just watching our various shows. I'm still enjoying What We Do in the Shadows, which is the FX comedy about vampires that just started last week. I watched the first two episodes of the season, and it wasn't quite as funny as last year's.
Sure.
I guess that it's sort of each year they kind of have an ongoing storyline kind of going on, and so I guess they're just kind of getting everything set up for much of the comedy that will happen later on in the season. So
very cool.
And, but yeah, that's I guess nerd related stuff. And then also I think last week was the big start of the new season of Big Brother, which I'm a big fan of, LLD TV show, and that one's one of them that I enjoy and nerd out, but I won't go into ad nauseum. There's plenty of podcasts out there that's very Big Brother centric, so
Sure.
they do it much more justice than I would be able to.
Very cool. Yeah. I don't have too much on the radar for like watching this or that. Unfortunately, my well ran dry a couple weeks ago with the boys. But it is what it is. And I hope to. I've got a backlog that I've got a growing one that good things to watch that you've mentioned over the last couple weeks that I want to dip a toe into and see if I like it or not. But with that being said, this has been another grab bag with the first last Nerdom.
Yep.
I've been Mike.
And I'm Thomas.
And we'll see you next week.
See ya.